Hi, and welcome to this episode of H2O Global News Stream. This is our latest in our interview series, and I'm really honoured to introduce you to Rodney, the Senior Vice President of Water at Energy Recovery. Tell us about yourself, Rodney, and your experience.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you. As you mentioned, my name is Rodney Clemente. I'm the Senior Vice President of Water for Energy Recovery. Energy Recovery just recently turned 30, and I've spent my entire career here at Energy Recovery. This will be my 25th year with the company. So I've had my hands in all things water, really, from the entrepreneurial startup, in the beginning of our company all the way through our IPO and now to where we are now with our market dominant position as the supplier of energy recovery devices for the broader water treatment space. So I spent some time in the field, in field engineering. I spent some time working with our customers, designing and optimizing their operations. But currently I'm in charge of all things water. So sales, marketing, business and product development, service and aftermarket, really all of it.
I find that fascinating. You've been there for your whole career.
Yes.
And that level of dedication, it really shows the type of organization that you work with. So kudos there.
Thank you.
And in that time, tell me about the evolution of water treatment and desalination and
Sure.
how it's more energy efficient in those recent decades. What's that progression been like, and what have you seen?
That's a fun question. So desalination, you can't really talk about desalination without talking about historically its Achilles heel. The Achilles heel of desalination historically has been, as you mentioned, the energy intensity or the energy intensity nature of the process, right? So when you look at the landscape of desalination, how it's evolved over time, you have to start kind of, pre reverse osmosis. What was the landscape like before reverse osmosis really kind of dominated today's landscape? And previously, you call it the 1960s, 70s, this time frame, 100% of the large-scale desalination plants were thermal-based. So thermal desalination was the dominant technology, in the desalination space, and really the only one. But as membrane separation technologies advanced and developed and matured over time, you started to see this massive shift from literally boiling the ocean, with thermal desalination plants, to the membrane separation plants. And the key drivers were for that shift in technologies was operational efficiencies, lower OpEx, and lower capital intensive, nature of the smaller, more efficient desalination membrane separation facilities. So that shift has almost fully occurred. Like I said, in the 70s, pre-70s, 100% of the plants were thermal, and today, about 100% of the plants are seawater reverse osmosis membrane based.
Wow, that's really interesting. What demands and challenges are water industry professionals facing right now because of that history?
Yeah, I would really say kind of two things come to mind. One is, developing comprehensive water strategies,
Hmm.
water management strategies. And number two is sustainability, sustainability of your operations. So when I think about, comprehensive water management strategies, we see, different countries and municipalities kind of take a binary approach with respects to desalination.
Yeah.
Really, it's do we build a desalination plant or not, right? And I don't think that's always the answer. And I'm not saying that desalination is 100% of the answer either. I think looking at what you have available, as far as natural resources, scanning the industrial wastewater, municipal wastewater spaces, seeing what you could do from a recycling and reuse and reclamation perspective, all need to go into the broader, thought perspective and strategies of how you're managing your local, water supplies.
Mm.
Um, you know, we've seen countries pump water across borders, right? We've seen very developed infrastructure that reclaims and captures, rainwater. So I think, by looking by looking at what you have available to you, what your local requirements are, I think developing and working together as an industry to develop those comprehensive water strategies is of utmost importance, but it's still a challenge in many ways. And then when I think of sustainability, right? When I think of sustainable operations, what does that mean? Again, in the context of desalination, it means that the water's there when you need it and that you can get it in a very affordable way. And again, when you talk about desalination, everybody always pokes at, one or two things, and it's energy intensity and environmental impact, right? So how do you ensure that desalination operations are sustainable? Number one, by using, first in class, the best technologies that you can find, right? And by doing so, we're butting up against physics here, in the membrane world. Meaning we're reaching the thermodynamic minimum of what you can desalt water at, theoretically. We're approaching that, right? So when you want sustainable operations, the first thing I look at is the source. When you talk about seawater reverse osmosis, it's been called a drought-proof water treatment supply. In essence, the ocean is unlimited, right? So that's something that's not impacted by drought. It's not something that's impacted by kind of external factors. It's there when you need it. So that's number one. We always talk about energy when we talk about desal. So we're now starting to see renewable energies being coupled with desalination plants. So you have that sustainability piece, not only in the water, but in the power side as well. There's been some in the industry that have said, we don't have a water problem. We have an energy problem, because there's this energy water nexus, right? You need water to make energy. You need energy to make water.
Water. Yeah.
And in a world of unlimited energy, would you have a water problem? That's an interesting question that's come to mind. So cost needs to be sustainable, again, using kind of best in class technologies. Your supply, your source needs to be sustainable. Nothing more sustainable than the ocean. As you know all the statistics with how much of the world's surface is covered in ocean water, and things like this. And then power, the renewable energy, coupling of renewable energies is really helping to make, water treatment more sustainable in these days.
And I would like to dive a little bit deeper into cost.
Sure.
And I think one of the big things about the world is we don't always put a value on water. We get a water bill here, like in the UK, we get a water bill quarterly, but we waste water like it's going out of fashion. But also from organizations' point of view, how they can save money by being more energy efficient. What value do you feel that energy recovery brings to that area?
That's a great question. That's exactly where our value lies. As our company name implies, energy recovery, that's what we do, right? We recover energy from the process of desalination. So imagine an industry with over 50% of waste, right? What would you do? And that's what desalination is. For example, if you pump in 100 cubic meters per hour of water into the front end of the membrane, you do not get 100 cubic meters of water of permeate, right, of potable water. You get about 50% of it, 40 to 50% of it. So that's the membrane recovery rate. So you get this very saline concentrated brine stream. And what do you do? There's a lot of potential energy in that stream. So what we do at Energy Recovery is we harness that pressure energy, pressurize a low pressure seawater feed stream, and we dramatically reduce the size of the massive high pressure pumps in the system. And without energy recovery devices, we're able to save about 60% of the energy requirements in that RO process, which is massive. When you talk about cost of a desalination plant over the life, right? We're talking about 20, 30-year life of the desalination plant. And this is just a rough cut, but just to give you guys a sense of a scale here. Over the life of that plant, about 50% of the plant cost is tied up in the CapEx, the initial capital expenditure to build the plant. And then the other 50% is in OpEx. And then when you zoom into the 50% of the pie, that's just the operational piece. Another 50% of that, upwards of 50% of that is just tied up in energy. So when you focus on cost of desalination plants, and when you want to focus on reducing and again sustaining your operations in a very sophisticated way, you go to the big piece of the pie, and the biggest piece of the pie on the operational side is energy. And we have a direct play there to reduce that energy component and make your operations more efficient, effective, and sustainable.
And that's it, right? Why dispose of it when you can be more sustainable, be more higher in revenue? It is a
Exactly.
logical move. And
Exactly.
especially in this day and age, we need to be more clever with the technologies. And going into technology, I believe Energy Recovery has a great piece of technology called PX.
Yes.
Um, Achieving dramatic energy and operation savings. We've obviously touched upon that's one of your core values. I suppose now I'd like to ask you how you do it. How how
Sure.
how
Sure.
does PX do this?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, briefly, but I'll get a little bit more into the details here. There's a highly pressurized, concentrated salt stream that's basically waste. And what the pressure exchanger does is it takes this fluid flow, and through a direct hydraulic to hydraulic transfer of energy, it imparts its energy into a low pressure feed water stream. So you can't recirculate or resend that brine back to the front end of the membrane. The pressures will get too high. You'll get concentration, polarization, and all these things. So you need high pressure seawater, but we have high pressure brine. So what we basically do is we get what we want. We want that high pressure seawater, and we use the reject and waste stream to pressurize that seawater in a very unique and flexible way. The pressure changer has one moving part. It has a ceramic rotor with multiple ducts or chambers in it. And as that rotates, you get this exchange, this direct exchange, reciprocating exchange of pressures.
Wow. Wow. And my understanding is you deliver energy savings of up to 60% and
Correct.
efficiencies of up to 98%.
Yeah, it's
Um,
almost a perpetual, rotating machine. It's almost 100% efficient, which is unheard of. But we can't get to 100% just as yet. But we're not giving up. We're trying to make our technology, better every day. When we talk about, again, sustainability, we take that to heart here at Energy Recovery, and we've
mhm,
used that in the development of our technologies. So when we talk about the pressure exchanger, we kind of crack the code, in energy recovery devices. What does the industry want? What do they need? And we understand this pretty heavily. So we looked at, developing a technology that has the lowest life cycle cost over the life of the device. And what does that mean? Efficiency. You hit the nail right on the head. We have leading efficiencies up to 98%, and this helps reduce again the energy intensive nature of desalination systems. We also look at durability. Our technology is built for the life of the plant. So for 25 years, there's no scheduled maintenance. This thing just
wow.
runs, right? Which is unheard of for, a piece of machinery. And then reliability and availability. The pressure exchanger is designed in such a way that, it continues, obviously if you operate it per how it's supposed to be used, the thing doesn't stop, right? So the availability of your plant is high, the reliability of your plant is high. We say at Energy Recovery that the most expensive water is the water that you can't sell, right? That you can't produce. So if your plant's off, you have a problem, and you'll never have a problem, shutting down your plant, with our technology for sure.
And the reliability, the cost. I really enjoyed your comments on drought proof as well.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting aspect to what you do. And all I can say is there's a lot of people ask me why speak to an energy organization. Well, like you said at the beginning, energy is a huge part of how to process water, how to treat water. And it's you can't have one without the other, like you
That's
said.
right. That's very true.
Um, but anybody watching this, what would you like them to be left with when it comes to your knowledge? What else would you like to share?
Well, there's challenges for sure, in the water treatment industry, but we're really excited here at Energy Recovery to try to help solve those global water challenges. It's
Mhm.
a thirsty and hungry world, right? A lot of the water used on this planet is either used for human consumption, and I think the number one use of water in this world is agriculture, right? So we got to feed this planet, we got to quench its thirst and all those things, and we're excited to help meet those challenges. We have just kind of emerged into the industrial wastewater, municipal wastewater spaces. So you can imagine all the heavy industries that, consume water, the mining industries, right? Most recently, lithium batteries, manufacturing plants have been all the rage with what's happening in the global economy. So we're excited about facing these new challenges and meeting them head on. Like I mentioned, water treatment needs to be part of a comprehensive discussion, and as we, the water professionals in the industry, come together, I think we can solve, the world's thirst, for water, and we're excited to do so.
And how do people get in touch with you to learn
Yeah.
more?
You could visit us at our website at www.energyrecovery.com. I think most of our staff here is on the normal places like LinkedIn and those things, but email, phone, websites, all the normal ways to reach us these days. I think there's unlimited ways to reach people, now that we're getting over COVID and all these other things. But contact us. We look forward to talking to you about your water challenges and how we could potentially help you.
I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I think it's fascinating, and what I'm more excited about is what you're going to do next.
Stay tuned.
That's what's exciting about this sector and what you're doing. I think you're going to be pushing the boundaries to that next level, and it's really needed. So thank you to everybody at Energy Recovery. It's an important thing that you're all doing, and let's wait to see you grow.
Thank you so much, Davey. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.